different sometimes.
What happened to your toe and any concern?
I would say, taking a page out of my Hockey Friends playbook, I would say it's a lower extremity injury. That's about all I'll say about it.
Any concern though?
No.
George, you seem like you were trying to keep it light on the sideline with Brock, and you made me laugh, but he just wasn't going for it, man. He was just so serious.
You're not wrong.
Is that just kind of his mode?
Yeah, I would say, Brock's always dialed in, and I say to you guys multiple times, like, when he's on the football field, like, you guys don't get to see that part of him, like, because he's always very, he's lighthearted when he talks to you guys, very humble, takes everything, he answers every question honestly, and then when he's on the football field, there's a different switch is flipped, so I realized I had to change my tactic of talking to him, and it just had to be a little bit different to have that conversation with him.
Like they have a lot of attention on them, whether it's Travis and Taylor or Patrick Mahomes' commercials, Andy Reid's commercials, things like that. Do you guys enjoy sort of being more under the radar and going into this?
I would say Andy Reid's his bundle commercial with the chicken tendies is one of my favorite commercials in the NFL. Absolutely fantastic. He does a great job with those. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like, the Chiefs are in their fourth Super Bowl in 5 years. I mean, they should have all that attention. I think it's something that they're very used to, though, and I don't think it's any type of distraction for them. And I don't think, while we might be under the radar, I guess, to, people on the outside, I think the Chiefs are very aware that we're not under the radar at all.
If you go back and you talk to some of the guys that went to junior college with Brandon Ayuk, and they ask them about that catch the other night, and they're impressed, of course, and then they'll say, and we saw that all the time in practice. Mm-hmm. Curious, does that sound like an exaggeration to you, or do you see Brandon do those kind of things all the time?
I mean, you guys are always out there at OTAs and training camp. Like, you guys see it. He mosses people, runs great routes, cooks people. I mean, he's always, like, I think the last 2 years he's been like the MVP of training camp. So yeah, I mean, he does it on a consistent basis. You see him run routes in the offseason, he does it. Training camp, he does it. All throughout practice the entire season, he's always making plays, always routing people up. So it's just like what he does every single day. Then he goes out there and it's just second nature to him, and that's the best possible thing for football players. Just when you can do those plays all the time, and when you finally get the opportunity, it's not foreign to you and you're not making anything up. He's just ready to go, and it's exactly what he's ready for.
When you get to Vegas next week, what mindset do you have between balancing an appreciation of being on the Super Bowl stage and also just focusing on getting your job done?
You're talking about game day or throughout the whole week? I mean, pretty easy for me. Like, I'm gonna stick to my routine as best I can, and we're busing to UNLV or going to whatever media stuff we have, obligations, that stuff. But I mean, my message to everybody is just stick to your routine, what you've done as best you can. If you wake up at a certain time, continue to wake up at that certain time. Hey, on Wednesday, if after practice you do some body maintenance and you go home, you sit on your couch and watch TV. Hey, why change it up? Like, you don't need to go get dinner. You don't need to get dinner with your agent. You'll see him next week. Like, you don't need to do anything extra. Just do what you've been doing, what's been working for you, and celebrate when you're done. Just do what you've been doing the whole season. Don't make anything up. Like, that's my thing. Like, yeah, Vegas, the street, the strip, all the lights. It is what it is. But what's really cool would be winning the Super Bowl. Anything else before that is, who cares, really?
What do you think of this Chiefs defense? What makes it so tough?
Chris Jones is really good at football. Every time you give him a one-on-one, he seems to dominate it. They put him out on the edge versus the tackles. He does a really good job over there. They usually go out the right tackle. So he does a really good job just doing that by himself. And then because of all the double teams, it frees up all their other guys on the D-line. 32, Bolton, I think is his last name. I think he's one of the most underrated linebackers in the NFL. I think he's really good in coverage. He flies around. I think he doesn't get the recognition for it, I don't think, because of there's a lot of other linebackers that play at a high level too. And then when you think of the Chiefs, you usually just think about Mahomes and Kelsey and Chris Jones. So I think he's playing at under level, and I think their whole secondary is playing really, really well together. If you watch the tape and you see all the movements, all the motions that teams do against them, they communicate better than anyone else I've seen on tape. Like, they don't get confused by when they do the double motions, all that stuff. Like, they communicate at a very, very high level because they've been playing in the same system. A lot of those guys have been there for a while. So it's like you have a vet team who's played a lot of games together. They've, and also one of the cool things is they didn't have a ton of success throughout the entire season, right? They weren't, what are they, a 3 seed? And so that's not what the Chiefs are usually used to. And so for them to kind of battle back and finish it really strong, and then also in the playoffs go on the road 2 times and, do exactly what they needed to do. Like, they're just playing hot right now, and they're playing very confident. I think that's a really good job. And also their 2 corners are 2 of the best corners we're going to face all year. And just watching their tape they're phenomenal. They jam, they stay on your hip. Their whole defense is playing at a really high level right now.
If I could ask you about Trent Williams' locker situation.
I'm very jealous. I know. I had 3 lockers during COVID, and they took those away from me. Darn it.
Does it say something about like just his game being? I mean, it doesn't seem that could be viewed as like this guy's kind of a prick, but you know.
You say that to Trent.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
No, but it does
Hey, Trent. Eric says you're. Oh, that's crazy, man.
it's-
Yeah.
No one begrudges him that, and it speaks to maybe his standing on this team and what he's accomplished. I don't know. Is there some symbolism to it?
He's larger than life. He has a silverback gorilla tatted on his back, and it's on his private jet. You know, it's Trent Williams. He can do whatever he wants, and I don't think anyone really cares. You know, he's got so much stuff that if you were to give someone else that locker, his stuff's going to be in their locker regardless. So just give the man 2 lockers. If you want to give him 3, don't care. He has it fenced off like it's a club. It's perfect. It's everything that is Trent Williams, and he deserves it as well. I would like a second one though. I'll talk to him about it.
They kind of indicated yesterday they maybe were a little naive because they got to the Super Bowl their first year, first couple of years, and then took it for granted, thinking they could get back so easily. What's been the hardest part of this climb to just get back to this point for you?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of guys that you lose, like, you know, after a Super Bowl year, a lot of coaches that get, you know, picked off and taken to other teams. And so you have to find out ways to win. It's like, yeah, we're very confident going into the 2020 season. Like, we're confident going in every season, but you're replacing a lot of guys. You're teaching new guys that come in, the culture of the team, the style of that we play. Coaches are kind of learning it. So there's just like a lot of moving pieces 24/7. And, you know, it's kind of on the guys that we have here and Coach Shanahan, and John Lynch to like figure out how to, you know, keep that the way that we want it to be, but also evolve and adapt. And, you know, winning in the NFL is really hard. It just is. You know, ball has to bounce your way, injuries, all that stuff. It's difficult sometimes. And, you know, football is a very difficult sport. And so it's hard to get back to the top. You know, we've gotten close a couple times, but, you know, hey, the ball bounces other people's ways and some plays weren't made, and that's just football. And it's very nice to be able to say that we got over that NFC Championship hump and have another opportunity finally.
About your last matchups with Chris Jones?
Like as the Niners, I don't block him very often. Maybe once in a while. I would just say he is a very dominant player. He's incredibly physical. He's huge. He's very hard to block one-on-one. And like I said, when you have a guy like on the interior that's as dominant as that guy is, you have to account for him with like 3 hands or 2 sets of hands. And when you're doing that, it just allows all the other guys to get all these one-on-one opportunities. And then you throw in, they'll put 5 guys on the line, or they might blitz somebody else. And then, hey, it's leaving somebody one-on-one with Chris Jones. And it's like, hey, good luck. Like, he's amazing. He's one of the best players in the NFL. He's been like a top 10 on the NFL 100 multiple years in a row. There's a reason he is, because you have to account for him on every play. And I think that he's, like, you have to treat him kind of Aaron Donald-ish, which is where, like, he could wreck any drive. You just say, hey, we're going to leave him one-on-one, and then all of a sudden he swims through, tackles running back in the backfield for -5, and you're looking at 2nd and 15, and it ruins the drive. So he's just very, very good at wrecking plays, and when you have to account for something like that, it just kind of leaves other people open. Thanks, guys.
Is you're going up against your former team,
Mhm.
the biggest game of the year. What are your emotions like against it?
Pretty high emotions, you know. Kansas City, best team in the world. They the champs. You know, they've been in 4 Super Bowls in the past, 6 years. So it's a great feeling to try to go in there and knock off, you know, the best team in the world over the past 5, 6 years.
What does Bryce look like to you? He's a young player. He's had a good year. You're probably going to get him in this game.
He kind of remind me of Debo a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Good route runner, tough, physical. Once he get the ball in his hands, he can make plays, make guys miss. So we got to go out there and just try to match his physicality and be physical with him all game.
Can you offer any advice about the Mahomes-Kelsey connection and how to possibly address that, take care of that?
I mean, that matchup, that duo is kind of one-on-one, you know what I'm saying? There's nobody like them. So we just got to go out there and just try our hardest, man, try our best. We know they got great chemistry, so we just got to go out there and match, you know, their intensity all game they Hall of Famers, but I mean, we just got to up our level of play.
I was just at a time that Kelsey either runs the wrong route or just sees something and sits down. Like, can you prepare for a player that plays with instinct, or is there any way to do that?
Yeah, I mean, Travis just smart. Like if he got a certain route, and if he see a guy sitting out there to where his route got to go, I mean, obviously he's not gonna just run to the guy. He'll just sit down, find a hole in the defense, and that's what I mean by the chemistry early. Like they just know each other real well. You know what I mean? So maybe we got to go out there and just try to match that.
People talk about how you have to spend 2 plays every time with Mahomes, the regular one, and then when you start to scramble,
Right.
Just how do you go about it? What's the challenge?
We got to just plaster, you know what I'm saying, have great stamina because we know he's going to get out the pocket a lot, scramble around. The guys on the D-line, they probably going to be tired. We probably going to be tired, but we got to just up our intensity all game.
That likes to use the screen game, short passing as much. How do you kind of strike that balance of like knowing when to shoot your gun to go stop the screen game versus like making sure something doesn't get over your head?
I mean, we're going to shoot our gun every play. The safeties, if the corners shoot their gun, I mean, we're going to have somebody back us up every play. We know the screens and the jet sweeps and reverses been kind of our weakness all season and definitely in the playoffs. So, I mean, obviously, that would be crazy not to come out there and do the same thing. So we got to, just shoot our gun and be physical and don't let them get any momentum in that department.
What do you learn from your last 2 Super Bowls of, I guess, spending time during the week when you're not on the practice field? Are you watching film? Are you reading a book? Trying to chase down family members?
Well, this Super Bowl in Vegas, so it might turn up a little bit the first day or 2 out there, but after that, really just lock in, you know what I'm saying, focus. The whole week is really like a movie. Like, you're going to see celebrities everywhere. Pre-game on the field, you might see Jay-Z, Beyonce, you know what I'm saying, Kevin Hart, people like that, but, I mean, it's still a game at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying. We still got to go out there and try to get the win, especially in the Super Bowl. You know you don't want to fuck up in the Super Bowl, so you got to go out there all weekend, just be locked in, be on your stuff.
There's a lot of this roster that hasn't been in a big game.
Mhm.
Have guys come up and talk to you about what the experience is like? Are you offering kind of your experience and advice on how to deal with it all?
Like I said, it's gonna be like a movie. Like the lights gonna be shining, it's gonna be media everywhere, cameras everywhere. So you gotta just be a professional while you're out there the whole week. Like study and do whatever you can do to keep your mind focused and prepare for the game.
Is there something that you specifically do to keep your mind locked in?
Oh, I do a lot of things. I read, I meditate, I say positive affirmations. I visualize, and talk to my old lady, my girlfriend. Yeah, that's what I do to keep my head on straight.
In the league, having those tools, or is that something you've developed as you've been in the league?
It definitely, I did it a little bit coming into the league, but as I got in the NFL, like this shit hella stressful, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of haters in this game. Like the fans can hate on you sometimes, media can down talk you sometimes. So you just gotta find ways to work on yourself. I always been like a big self-help person, you know what I'm saying? Care for myself. Self-care is always the best care. So I always been trying to, find ways to better myself mentally, and spiritually.
One of your positive affirmations?
Nah, that's kind of just me right there. I'm sorry. Some for people can say it's just like I believe in myself, or when I first wake up in the morning, I say something like I believe or I have faith. You know what I'm saying, in myself and in God. That's something I say every morning.
What's different about this postseason run as opposed to all the others you've been on?
I feel like I know we got a great team. Everybody expected us to be in the Super Bowl. Like when I was in Kansas City, when we won in 2020, what it was, we just knew we was gonna win the Super Bowl. It wasn't a doubt in our mind that we wasn't gonna win the Super Bowl. And I feel like that's how this team feel this year.
We hear so much about those Bosa speeches on Saturday that we walk through. What makes them compelling? What do you get from those things?
How you know about them? How you know about them speeches?
They're talking about it.
They pretty good speeches, man. Bosa defensive player of the year, so he talk. You know what I'm saying? You gonna listen because he doing something right. So he do a pretty good job of motivating us and having us locked in for the game.
What do you think of Jair? Had 10 tackles in a big moment last week against Detroit. How do you feel he's coming along?
Jair pretty good, man. He a pretty good player. Ricky, the stage not too big for him. The light's not too bright for him. He pretty calm out there and confident in himself. And so I feel like Jair going to do pretty good in the Super Bowl.
Play from the Super Bowl win over the Niners that sticks with you, or just a moment that kind of is particularly special?
You talking about when we won?
Yeah.
A play that I remember when that deep 3rd and 15 pass, I think, to Tyreek Hill, they kind of like changed the momentum of the game.
You had a feeling like maybe we got him.
I mean, we knew we was gonna win the whole time, to be honest. Just like we did these past 2 games when we went down.
Have you told your teammates you knew you were gonna win that game all the time?
Nah, I ain't saying nothing to him. If we talk about it though, I'd tell him like I feel like we was never mind, but yeah, I'm glad we got the win for sure.
What were your emotions last year when you see the Chiefs go on and win the Super Bowl?
It was kind of bittersweet, man. I knew they was gonna kind of make it to the Super Bowl because I mean that's just a good ass team over there. Like they got Pat, He like the ultimate equalizer, and you know Travis Kelce, Andy Reid calling plays. Like they got a crazy big 3. You know what I mean? So I mean I kind of figured if we went to the Super Bowl, we was gonna be playing those guys, and it would have been sweet to play them last year. But you know we got the opportunity this year. I'm pretty sure like this what Kyle Shanahan probably wanted as well. Like you know what I'm saying? He had his opportunity as a head coach to win the Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure he felt like he had it in his hand. And 20, he kind of let it slip through. But you know this the rematch right here.
Practice against Patrick Mahomes for a long time.
Mhm.
What has his game changed like from when you first started practicing against him versus now?
I feel like the first day I saw him, and now I just always knew he was the best player. You know what I'm saying in the football in the National Football League. Like, I mean he's, huh? Hell yeah. Even back then, I think my first year in Kansas City was his first year being like the starter. And when I got there, the first game he threw like I think like 5 or 6 touchdowns in LA against the Chargers. So that's when I was like, damn, like I never saw nothing like this. It was crazy. Ever since then, he been, you know, winning Super Bowls, collecting rings. So just he the GOAT, man. He one of the GOATs behind Tom Brady for sure. I appreciate that.
Jed York was telling a story that Kyle Shanahan came up to him and basically the first week of training camp and said, Brock's the best quarterback on the roster already. When did you have an idea of how much Kyle believed in you?
You know, when I first got here, I was obviously just trying to learn the playbook and compete every day as hard as I could on the field. And then over time, like, honestly, I didn't really know ever. Like, I was going through the preseason games. He wasn't really saying much. Obviously, he was trying to develop Trey as best as he could and all that. And we were all, you know, being there for Trey and helping Trey out. And then when the season sort of came around and I found out I made the team, I was like, oh, okay. Like, I think he, you know, respects the way I play and how I handle things. And that was really about it. And then, you know, I got my opportunity against Miami, and then we sort of talked after that. And that's sort of when he started telling me, like, hey, since you've been here, you've been doing everything right, that kind of thing. So that was really about it, though. So.
How much is the 2019 Super Bowl used on tape from Kyle this week, or is that too far back?
When you talk about sort of just the history of the two teams, I mean, we've talked about it, you know, the Super Bowl and the stage and sort of how that game went. But in terms of like scheme and stuff, it's different, I'd say. You know, we're obviously studying this year's team against the Chiefs and what they've done the last however many games this year, and yeah, so that's really where our mindset is at and moving forward. So.
Rock and roll life's been pretty much a whirlwind for the last year, and now it's like a tornado basically going into the Super Bowl, everything that goes into it. Kyle had talked about everybody wanting their affairs in order before you go there. Are you all fixed up with your family, everybody from Arizona that's going? Are you a part of that at all? What do you know about that part of it?
Yeah, I don't have like a big group or anything. You know, going to the Super Bowl, it's really just, you know, my immediate family, my fiance's immediate family. That's really about it. So obviously it's a big game, and you know, trying to handle everything up until we leave and get on the plane to go to Vegas. Just in terms of who's going to the game, all that kind of stuff. Obviously, our scheme and what we're trying to do against the Chiefs, so that when we get on the plane and we're going through all the stuff throughout the week, we understand what we're trying to do and the plays that we're running and all that stuff. So I think it's huge, and Kyle's harped on it. Like, we want to handle everything before we get on this plane this week as if we were playing this week. So it's been good. It's been efficient. So.
It seemed like Fred had an extended huddle with you guys yesterday before practice started. What's been his message to the team, and what's been the overall message from the veterans about this week and the practices this week?
Yeah, I mean, obviously every practice, every moment matters. You know, we all understand, you know, the stage that this game is going to be played on, and you know, you don't want to get to Vegas and with all the stuff going on, let all that other stuff on the outside get in the way. And so, you know, Fred and all the vets really have been just harping on every moment right now this week is huge. And so at the same time, like, you know, who we are as a team is good enough, and we just got to continue to do what we've done all year. Every single practice, nothing, you know, lackadaisical or just chill at practice, like still bring the intensity and everything every day as best as we can. So, I mean, that's what Fred has harped on, and that's what all the vets have been saying too, and we're totally behind it. Everyone else is, and so, yeah, obviously, I think once we get to Vegas, we'll start feeling it even more. But at the same time, we got to do what we've done all season long because that's good enough.
What kind of crossover have you had with Mahomes?
Can you say it again?
What kind of crossover have you had with Mahomes over your career? Did you talk to him after that game in 2022, or?
No, yeah, I haven't talked to him or nothing. So obviously respect the heck out of, you know, who he is and as a player and what he's done in the league. You know, it's fun to watch. So, but yeah, I haven't had any interaction with him.
Personnel to keep things loose on game days.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he keeps it fun, man. Like, he just has a good perspective on playing the game of football. Obviously, you got to be so detailed in what you do, and every little play and moment is huge. We all get that, but George sort of brings us back to, hey, we're playing a game. You know, we can have fun with this. You know, we have such a good team, and you never know if, you know, we're going to have a team like this again, kind of thing. So he's like, let's enjoy every single snap that we have together, every drive, every game. And, you know, sometimes I'm a little annoyed. I'm like, come on, dude, like, let's get into it. But he brings me back down to, you know, having some fun with the game. So we all love it.
I don't know if you can quantify it, but how important is it to have sort of a variety of leaders and communicators just in the different styles people have?
On this team, yeah, I mean, it's awesome because you get to talk to guys all the time about their experiences throughout their years and their career. Obviously, their experiences here. I'm talking to Eric Armstead and what it was like in 2019 for him, and obviously even when he first got here and what it was like till now. And same with George and Fred, Drake Greenlaw, his rookie year playing in the Super Bowl. Same with Debo. Like, you got all these guys that have played in big moments and big games, and all those things have added up to their experiences, and you get to ask about them, to them. So that everyone's got a little different perspective and maturity to them. So for me as a young guy in the league, like, it's pretty fun, and I'm very blessed to have those kind of guys because I get to ask them, and everyone's got a new perspective on it, and everyone's mature, and everyone understands what it takes. So for all of us young guys on this team, man, we're very lucky to have those older guys to sort of put their arms around us and sort of teach us the way.
How much have you asked just this week, particularly about the Super Bowl, and what kind of lessons are you getting from or taking from those conversations?
I mean, I've asked a bunch of guys just really throughout the last, couple weeks and so, just as the playoffs has rolled around, the big games, the moments, what changes, what their mindsets are. I've asked almost all the guys. And so I've taken something away, from every single guy. I'm not really going to say like specific things from specific people, but all I can say is, man, the leadership and the experience with these guys here, like, you could tell how much the guys are hungry for one, because you never know when an opportunity like this comes around. You'd ask like Trent Williams, man, he's played forever, and he hasn't had an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl and play in one yet. So like, this is huge, So, but every single guy's got a cool perspective.
Through this before.
Can you say that again?
Have you reached out to any quarterbacks who have been through this, just to get their perspective on what what this week's going to be like?
I've talked to Kurt Warner just through some interviews and stuff, sort of what he went through throughout his Super Bowl experiences. Steve Young a tiny bit, nothing crazy yet. Hopefully I'll be able to reach out to him and talk, but outside of that, it's been such a whirlwind with, our games played and practices and everything now, and who we are as a team. So, yeah.
Brock, the last two games you guys have gotten off to slow starts, but you finished fast. How do you reverse that? How do you get off to a faster start in this game? Is there anything that you can think of that would maybe help you guys get off to a faster start?
Man, I mean, I feel like all of us were sort of learning that, just that chip on our shoulder, the mindset of our backs being against the wall, and we need it. That's when our best style of ball comes out, and we all step up to the plate and play our best. So whatever that mindset is early on, we need to get to it. And so obviously we need to do a better job with, third downs early in the game and converting on those and staying on the field. But, I mean, when we needed to come back, we step it up, we pick it up, the intensity, everyone's just on it and on point. So if we can have that kind of mindset early on, just like we have all year, and come out, firing away, I mean, I think that's when, our defense plays well with that. So that's something that we all got to talk about and be better at for sure, and that starts with me. So, sorry.
Story yesterday about when one of the first meetings happened with the team here in Santa Clara, that your parents were there taking notes, and he saw that and thought it was different. How much have your parents helped you and supported you throughout this journey, and how are they going to support you this week, especially going into your biggest game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, everything that I do in my life, what I believe, and knowing that I'm loved by my parents, it's been huge for me. It sort of allows me to just go and play and know that, they've always got my back. That's been huge for me. And so, obviously, their perspective on life and how they've handled their life, I've looked up to that a lot. And so, obviously, when I first got here, they were just like working hard, just like I was, in terms of how parents in the NFL can support their kid, and they've done a great job and a tremendous job with that. And obviously this week, more than anything, they're going to love on me and support me, and win or lose, they're going to always have my back. And as a player and as a person, to know that, it's huge. And so, yeah.
Question to that. I spoke to your mom this weekend, and she mentioned that when she asked you, what do you want to do, you kept saying, I want to play football. And as a mom, she was very concerned and asked you, like, what's your plan B? But you never had one. At that moment, like, did you ever imagine you would actually be playing football and on your way to the Super Bowl?
Yeah, for me, my mindset was I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to give it my shot. That's up to God if he's going to allow me to play football or not, or go a different direction. And so that was my honest point to my mom. I was like, I'm going to give it my all, and I don't know what my plan B is, but, you know, God will lead me where he needs me if it's not to be. So I kept telling my mom that, and so in the back of her mind, I'm sure she was a little worried, but more than anything, I know that she supports me and loves me, and it's been a blessing this last year and a half with her, you know, supporting me through it all. So.
Did you see the billboards in Arizona last
Yeah,
week?
yeah. So we know the guy that did that. His name's Kevin Rowe. He's the man. But yeah, he's just got my support out there, and he's a family friend. So he put Let's Go Brock Purdy on all his billboards around Arizona, and a bunch of family friends were reaching out about it. So it's pretty cool. So.
That pass to IU because you trusted him. There was a built-up of trust there. If you actually talked to guys that he went to even junior college with, they were kind of thought it was a great catch, but they said, we saw that all the time in practice. Is that kind of why you trusted him, because you've seen that too?
Yeah. I mean, you can go back to camp, OTAs, you name it, the kind of catches that BA makes at practice, it's pretty insane. Just his range and his ability to move in the air, all of it, all into one. And so, yeah, when there's a moment like that, he's definitely one of the guys I can trust to just throw it up 50-50, and BA's going to make a play. So he's very acrobatic. You know, he can track a ball really well, all of it. And so, like I said, one of the most underrated receivers in the league. I think he's one of the best in the league. For me to just throw a ball up like that, you definitely, as a quarterback, know and trust that he's going to come down with it.
Those intermediate throws that are kind of over a linebacker, between the safety, caught between the hash marks, and sometimes they're like 4 or 5 defenders kind of in the area. Does that take a certain level? I mean, obviously you have to trust that your guy's going to be there. Does it take guts sometimes to let that ball go when there's that much traffic? I mean, they're not game manager throws.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's anticipation, it's trust with your receivers. We run these routes, you know, time and time again. Like I said, going back to OTAs and camp and stuff. So that's where it starts. And then once you get in the heat of battle, you know, obviously I think it comes down to film study, what the coverage is saying as I'm dropping back, and where I'm anticipating the guy to be, and to trust my guy to get under it, over a backer, all those kinds of things. They all come into that play. So. It's not like I'm just dropping back and throwing blind and hoping my guy's going to be there. No, it comes down to understanding what the defense is doing, what we're trying to do, and where my guy's going to be, and throwing it on time more than anything. So that's what it comes down to. Thanks, guys.